Hello, welcome to House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris. I'm Chris Breitenbach.
And I'm Dena Mathis, and we welcome you to our program today. In season 3, just starting off here in 2023, we've been breaking out the Real Estate Real Talk portion of our program from the House and Home Chat. But really, they go hand in hand, and we work to bring you value to our program. So whether you're planning a move or whether you are just living your best life in your existing home, our program has something for you. And today we're chatting on a subject that not many people, let's face it, really love to talk about. But in the course of home ownership, it may become a necessity, and we're happy to have good resources and to promote our local small businesses.
So we are talking about mold today, and we are happy to be chatting it up with Matt Weiler of TML. Is it Wheeler or Weiler?
It's Mark Weiler.
Weiler.
That's funny.
I did.
You can call me that. You can call me that. That's good.
TML is a water and mold restoration company. Mark, welcome to our program.
Thanks for having me.
Welcome, Mark. Mark!
You just chatted about
That's
it. The
fine.
vowel is second, like Breitenbach.
Sure.
I is second, and Weiler,
Yeah,
the I is second.
exactly.
So I should know and follow my own rule. Hey, we'd like to start with having you tell us just a little bit about yourself.
Well, how did I get into the mold and water restoration business?
Exciting business that it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Someone's got to do it.
Someone's got to do it. We're glad it's you.
I was a manufacturer's rep for a major carpet mill, industrial, commercial carpet mill for a long time, and the previous owner of TML, I used him as a reference because he was like the best guy in the area.
Okay.
He had to retire for health reasons and asked me if I would be interested in buying the business, and did my due diligence. Next thing you know, I'm doing mold and water work.
All right. Well, there you go. And here we are. How many years ago was that?
Oh gosh, probably 20,
Wow.
25.
So you've been in the business a long
Yeah,
time.
exactly.
Just a short bit.
Yeah. So before we get to talking about water and mold remediation, let's talk a little bit about TML.
Okay.
Now, TML stands for Time Maintenance Limited, and you've got a slogan that says people who demand excellence. So give us a little bit of a background or some insight into that.
Well, quite honestly, first of all, why he called the business Time Maintenance Limited, I have no idea. People ask me that all the time. I just call it TML because it's easier.
It rolls off the tongue a
Yeah,
little bit
exactly,
easier, doesn't
exactly,
it?
yeah. But as far as people who demand excellence, I mean, bottom line is, you pay for a service, you expect excellent service.
Yeah.
Especially in the cell phone environment now, and in the technology and things like that. So I just came up with that slogan, and next thing you know, I put it on my letterhead.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well,
it's a good one.
it is a good one, and we were just talking about references and referrals, and that's where it's at, really.
Oh,
That's
exactly.
being business owners ourselves. We know how critical and important it is to give good service, good customer service.
Well, you guys are in the exact same business as I am. It's all about referrals.
Exactly.
Right.
It's all
exactly.
about referrals.
It's all about excellence.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we all strive for.
It is.
So share with us a little bit about what your specialties are. What do you actually do?
Okay, let's start with the water. Okay.
Yes.
Thanks.
You've got a basement, a man cave in the basement, your husband or whatever, nice big TV.
Or a woman cave.
Yeah, there you go. A she shed.
How about a ladies'
Yeah,
lounge?
a she shed.
She
There
shed,
you
whatever
go.
you want to call it.
It's raining outside, some pump fails, you got water everywhere.
Okay.
Had that happened before?
Oh, exactly.
Right.
Well, any plumber in the city will tell you if you've got a basement, it's going to be full of water pretty soon.
At some point,
Yeah.
right? It happens.
So we come in, we suck up the water, we dry everything out, we put everything back to where it was before.
Okay.
Now, as far as the mold remediation, whether it's, a small mold spot in your laundry room or, a giant basement full of mold because it was neglected and you've got leaks in your foundation or what have you, we come in, we clean it up and make it new.
Great.
Yeah.
Great.
So most recently, Mark, you did a job for me as a realtor. I had a client who had some water in their crawl space,
Mm-hmm.
and water can be tricky. There's certain things that you do as a water remediator and other things
Mm-hmm.
that aren't in your scope of work. So what would you be doing specifically?
Like in
that
space?
crawl space, for instance. Yeah.
Well, most of the time when we get called out for crawl space, two things.
Yeah.
One, there is no moisture barrier. And that, in my opinion, it's the most important thing to put in a crawl space is the moisture barrier, because you've got basically it's a damp space. You've got dirt on the ground, okay, and the moisture from the dirt or the mud or whatever it is has got nowhere to go but up. And if it doesn't have a moisture barrier to stop it from going up, you've got wood above, which is the joist, the flooring or subflooring, and we all know that mold loves water, so you got moisture from the ground, it goes straight up. So if you
don't have that vapor barrier in, then you're going to get mold.
Exactly.
That makes so much sense.
Yeah.
So we come in, we put the moisture barrier down, pretty much standard work. And then the second thing we see is, because there is no moisture barrier, is fungal growth or mold growth on the floor joist and the subflooring. And we come in and we treat that as well.
Got it.
So the water restoration, first you got to, I guess, pump that out.
Sure.
And then the second part of that is the mold remediation.
Right. Well,
okay. Most
of the time when we get called in, specifically by realtors like yourself, we don't see that much water in the crawl space. But yes, if it's got standing water, that needs to be pumped out. And it's usually because the downspouts go from the gutters
directly
outside
into the ground.
Exactly. It goes straight down to the ground, to the foundation, and goes right into the crawl space.
Yeah.
So when our home inspectors always tell us that we need to extend the downspouts.
Do it.
Exactly.
And, sometimes people feel like that's always a CYA item, but
it
is really, really important.
Yeah.
It is. It's directly related to moisture in the crawl space too. And if you've got the pipes that go out, those little flexible pipes.
Yeah.
It's a simple solution.
Exactly.
But sometimes it feels real persnickety, right? To like the seller, like, you're going to make me do this, but there's a reason. Yeah, I get it.
Absolutely.
I get it.
So water is a big issue in our area. Where do you see the most common or what is the most common cause of water?
Or is there such a thing, common,
Well,
or are there all different circumstances?
The most common, let's say in the winter time, the most common cause of the water damage is I'd say we've done 12 jobs since the big freeze.
Yes.
Okay.
We had 3 weeks ago?
Right.
Yes.
And we're still working on one. I got a call on one yesterday. Somebody was out of town. The biggest cause is when you leave your hose attached to your hose stand.
Yeah, most definitely.
And I send out a reminder to the real estate community, to you guys, to tell all your friends, your family, everyone to go outside and detach the hose from the hose bit.
Got it.
Because if it's attached, you're going to have frozen pipes.
Yeah.
So that situation specifically is like one of the biggest causes, I guess you're saying.
That is the
simple
biggest
one
cause
to prevent, right?
That's the biggest cause of water damage in the home in the wintertime.
And then frozen pipes, I guess, do you see that a lot?
Well, that causes the frozen pipe. That causes the pipe to
freeze, and then you have a big problem, and then you have to call Mark.
Exactly.
So, unfortunately with, water, it becomes a breeding ground, like we talked about in that crawl space situation for mold. So, what do you recommend for people with water issues so that they can prevent the mold from, if somebody has an issue, it just happened, what can they do to prevent mold growth?
You talking about a crawl space or a basement?
Anywhere. Like you've got a situation, you've got maybe a sump pump that has flooded, you've got wet carpet, what's the best thing that you can do so that you can ensure that you don't have a mold situation?
Call me.
Okay.
No, seriously.
Yeah.
Seriously.
So there isn't really anything that the homeowner specifically should be doing.
No, not.
It's really about
treating
the problem quickly, maybe.
And this is so funny. I see it all the time.
Yeah.
It's hilarious. I'll see a very nice basement, in a standard $300,000, $400,000 house, and the basement's flooded with water. It's probably got 3 or 4 inches and sloshy on the carpet, and right in the middle of the floor is a little fan, oscillate, one of those little oscillating fans, and they put the fan in there, and I just laugh every time.
Yeah.
And they're trying to do something.
That I guess that's what I was getting at.
But,
we want to feel like we're doing something.
It's a great question.
I have my dehumidifier in my unfinished part of my basement.
Right, and we'll talk about that. I'll address that when we're done. But realistically, if you've got a flooded basement, call somebody. All right.
So you need the big guns. You need
because,
like the industrial fans.
Here's the reason why. A friend of mine called me. She didn't she did the hose bib thing. She forgot. It wasn't that bad. Okay. And she said, can you come over and take a look at it? And did. Well, I've got a moisture meter that detects any moisture. Okay. You saw it when I used it at your house.
Yeah.
She thought it was just the carpet. It wasn't. It was the drywall. It was the basement that was wet. Yeah. Well, if you don't dry that out properly, it's going to mold.
Right. Yeah.
Mold. It takes 72 hours for the possibility of mold to grow.
72 hours, huh?
That's actually very quick.
That is very quick.
Well, in the wintertime, it's a little bit higher because there's not as much humidity. In the summertime, it's a little lower because of all the humidity.
Right,
so,
right.
So I guess the moral of the story is to call Mark, to call an expert, to call sooner rather than later, and don't assume that it is a simple solution, even though it seems to be a smaller leak, because, Mark did come out to my house for a personal, water problem we had, which has actually been remedied now, but it was a past problem where we now are ripping up carpet and seeing that water, boy, did it travel. We're thinking it's confined to one small space, and it's trickled along the wall and found low points. And, to your point, it was a bigger issue than we originally thought.
There's certain things, right? Like, I don't know about carpet as much, but drywall to me is like a giant sponge.
Oh, right? It is.
It just loves water.
We can tell, usually how long there's been water in a basement by how high the drywall is wet. It climbs anywhere from 6 inches to a foot per day.
Wow.
And we a lady was out of town, during this freeze that we've recently had, and her drywall was 4 feet high. So it had been there for quite a while.
Yeah.
But let me address you mentioned
the
dehumidifier.
Dehumidifier.
Yes, there's a couple things that I recommend to anybody that owns a home or buyers or sellers.
We'll take it.
Okay. Well,
this is great.
First of all, if you own a home, you should have a dehumidifier in your basement and run it 24/7.
Okay.
Go to the hardware store, buy a cheap one for $200.
You hear that, Rob? Go to the hardware store today. Go get us a dehumidifier. We don't have one.
Buy a hose to the back.
Okay.
Run it straight to your drain so you don't have to empty it every day.
That's what we do.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly. Okay.
Go Brighton Box.
There you go. Exactly.
1 for Brighton Box, 0 for Mathis.
Drain lines. Okay, drain lines in the basement, the ones that go out to the street. Bring in a plumber every other year. Have him either camera or snake those lines.
Okay.
All right, because people throw stuff down toilets that you never know. You don't think you do. Right. You don't think you do. I know I don't because I don't want to pay for it.
Because you know what the results are.
But sewage backup is I love sewage backup because I get paid twice as much. right?
Oh, yeah.
It's
So
nasty.
So we should consistently have sewer
Oh my
scopes.
gosh, yes.
Okay.
Have it
Mhm.
scoped or have it just cleaned out.
Well,
Okay.
you know, that leads to a really good point when we're selling real estate
Exactly.
and to, our clients to preemptively do that,
Yep.
and to keep their records of doing that, because, how easy is that and nice is that when you go to sell your home
Right.
and
To say
you've-
these are the
Yeah,
maintenance things
yeah.
that we've done.
yeah,
Exactly.
That's
I mean,
great.
bottom line is you just
Mhm.
got into what I was going to mention.
Mhm.
If you're buying a house, that's one of the first things I would have them do is
Sewer scope.
sewer scope, make sure it's fine. All right.
Mhm.
Periodically check under all your sinks. Right.
Mhm.
Okay. Yeah.
When was the last time you checked under your sink?
Me? Never.
Yeah, exactly. But that's where you get a big mold issue. We do a lot of
Interesting.
So you get leaks and drips.
leaks and drips that cause the mold,
and you don't
when
even
we
know
come-
it's happening.
Yeah, we have to come in, take all the stuff out of there, take out the bottom of the sink, rebuild it or
Yeah.
treat it, then rebuild the bottom of the sink. We
Yeah.
do a lot of that,
Mhm.
right?
And it's interesting you say that, because that's the first thing you notice when your sink is, or when the base of your sink is empty. But when you've
Exactly.
got all that stuff down there,
Yeah.
you wouldn't necessarily see
Exactly.
it. So.
Exactly. Attic. If you have an attic,
Mhm.
go up there every couple of years. Go up and see if there's black stuff up there. If there's, bring a flashlight with you, because
And I don't think about this one.
when we do attic work,
Mhm.
because there's mold from a leaking roof or what have you. I mean, it's pretty expensive, because do you want to go up to an attic or in an attic in the summertime when it's
No.
120 degrees up there?
Right.
Yeah.
Plus, it's at an angle. It's really hard to move around up
Yeah.
there. There's
Yeah.
lots of nails for your
Head.
Yeah. I mean, you have to bring walking boards so you don't fall through the. Yeah.
Mhm.
So there's a lot of stuff
Involved.
that you have to
Mhm.
prep when you're working in an attic.
Mhm.
And if you go up there, periodically, you might find something before it gets worse.
Before it becomes an
Good
issue.
point, because
Yeah.
when we think about basements quite frequently,
Mhm.
right? We think about frozen pipes, we think about basements, but it doesn't cross my mind with an
To look
attic.
up in the attic. You're right. Mhm.
Last thing is change your HVAC filters every month,
Mhm.
Yeah.
or every other month. I mean, it helps because I get a lot of calls from people that say, well, I haven't been feeling good, my allergies, this and that. Well, a lot of it just has to do with changing your HVAC filters.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get 3 calls a week where I go out and I just help them with advice
Mhm.
versus do any remediation, because there's no remediation to be done.
Mhm.
So
He
Yeah.
just gives you the good advice.
yeah,
and
exactly. No, exactly.
You can take care of it yourself. And we love that. Those are some really great points for our listeners to be able to handle on their own, to preemptively just keep any
Right.
of these things
Exactly.
from becoming
Prevention,
issues. Yeah.
right?
Prevention is key.
And things still happen,
Mhm.
but if you can prevent, we love giving you work, but
There you go.
we're also going to try and help
Sure.
prevent it too.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So going back to mold, do you do actually test for mold, or you do just remediate the mold when it's found?
We don't do the mold testing
Okay.
because we think it's a conflict of
Okay,
interest.
that makes sense.
Right. That makes a lot of
I
sense.
don't want to have to charge you X for an air quality test and then Y for the remediation.
Mhm.
Let someone else test, and then I can come in and take care of the mold.
Right, right.
Let me get your opinion on this. So in our purchase contract, we have a statement that when a buyer does an inspection, there's certain things like hazardous materials that they can terminate the contract. And I always add in mold as that.
Mhm.
Should my buyers, like I have buyers who do mold testing as part of their
What kind of mold testing?
inspections. Depends on the client,
Okay.
what air quality testing.
Okay. Hold that thought. What you're explaining. Let's talk about mold testing. There's different types of mold testing.
Okay.
There's lift testing. There's swab testing. There's air quality testing. In my opinion, air quality test is the best way to test. Secondly, if you've got somebody that wants to test In a crawl space
Mhm.
or an attic, don't let them. It's a waste of money.
Okay.
Okay, it's a crawl space.
Yeah.
It has mold in it.
Yeah.
It's an attic. It has mold in it. No matter what, even if I came in and did a remediation for a crawl space,
Yeah.
right now, and I finished it, it still will have mold in it. It's a non-livable place. It's damp.
Mhm.
Okay, it breeds mold.
Mhm. So
Well,
we shouldn't be so concerned about those
exactly,
areas.
exactly.
Because
Don't-
we
yes.
hear mold and everybody
Well-
wants to freak
Well,
out
the-
a little bit.
Right? No, they do. They hear the M word and everybody
Yeah,
freaks out.
it's a foreign word.
Exactly. So, but I always ask people when I go take a look at the crawl space or I take a look at the attic. I mean, so what are you wanting? Right?
Mhm.
What's
What are you trying
acceptable?
to
Exactly.
achieve
So
here?
there's always going to be mold there.
Mhm.
The big question is how much.
Mhm.
Right.
Right? If your floor joists are covered with fungal growth, yes, it needs to be
Yeah, that's an
remediated.
issue.
But if I go down there, take a look at it, and I take some snapshots on my phone, and there's not that big, I'm like, no, this isn't that big a deal.
Mhm.
So this isn't that big of a deal as in the homeowner can remediate it yourself, or this isn't that big a deal, you can just leave
I
this and
still-
it's not really
I-
concerning.
I still would recommend calling a remediation company
Mm-hmm,
because we have I use a product called Vital Oxide.
mm-hmm.
Kills mold on contact, leaves behind a residual to help prevent further mold growth.
Mhm.
You can't buy it at Home Depot and Lowe's. Anything at Home Depot and Lowe's, just don't go there.
Don't go there.
Yeah.
Well, which is
And don't use bleach.
yeah, that was my next question is because, everybody wants to use chlorine bleach because, you think of disinfecting,
Sure.
you think of, cleaning, you think
Right.
of, the best way to clean things would be pouring some bleach on it. And you're
Mhm.
saying no.
No. Technically, bleach does kill mold.
Mm-hmm.
Technically. But
Okay.
there's a catch.
Okay.
Okay. Basically, when mold grows like on wood, like this, all
Mhm.
right, it grows on the surface, but it has legs. It's impregnated itself into.
Mold has legs.
Yes. And it's impregnated itself into the wood, into
Okay.
the drywall,
Okay.
into the porous surface that
Right.
it grows on. All right. In order for mold to grow, you have to have water and a food source. A food source is a cellulose material.
Okay.
So now it's on the wood and it's impregnated. Well, if you use bleach, you put your bleach on your rag and you wipe it off. Technically, it's killed that bleach,
Okay.
but it hasn't penetrated
Okay.
into the
So
wood.
it's just clean the surface.
It's cleaning the
Taking
surface.
care of the
Okay.
surface.
Exactly.
So it looks clean.
Right. And now bleach is 90% water, 10%
Oh,
10% mold, all right? Or 10% bleach,
Bleach.
okay? When that 10% bleach evaporates or you
we've
wipe
got
it off,
90% water
and mold loves water.
and mold was, oh, well.
So-
And so we've
Wow.
just
So-
fed our mold
Exactly.
water.
Exactly. So
Okay.
that's why, when you have an apartment real estate manager that sends his guys out and clean the walls with bleach
Bleach.
after a tenant has moved out and
Mhm.
it grows back 3 days later, that's why.
That's wow.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's a really great piece of information too,
Yeah.
because I
I'm blown
guarantee
away,
you so many people are out there cleaning
Yeah.
up any little mold surfaces with bleach.
Because that's what
Yeah.
we feel like we should do, right?
Yeah.
We-
Exactly.
Vinegar and bleach.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry, we were talking about something else and I cut you off and we started talking about bleach.
That's
Now
because we got excited.
I
about-
know. We got excited about
I was
bleach.
talking
There you go.
about the contract.
Okay, there you go, exactly.
And I do put in mold as an out for my
Okay.
buyers on the contract, but I sometimes wonder, am I overreacting? Should they be concerned if
No.
the inspector finds bleach?
No. Or
Finds mold.
Finds mold.
Yeah.
If
You're
they
like
find
me, you're
bleach.
excited about the bleach. No.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't think so. Yes, if it's, I took a look at a job the other day and the whole basement needs to be gutted. Well,
Okay. Well, that's
that's,
a problem.
yeah, that's not what you're talking about.
Right.
all right?
Right.
People shouldn't be afraid of mold because I
It's
really-
everywhere.
Yeah,
Right,
it
yeah,
is. It's on
right.
your shirt, it's on your shirt, it's on my shirt
Mhm.
right now, it's everywhere. So I equate mold to peanut butter. Okay.
Okay.
Are you allergic to peanut butter?
I am not.
Are you?
I am not,
I
but I have people in my
Right.
family who have it.
Exactly. And those people are really
Yeah.
allergic to peanut butter.
Mhm.
You know, you say the word peanut butter and they break out.
Mhm.
Yeah, I'm kidding, but you know.
Yeah, but so true.
Well, mold's the same way. It hasn't affected me for 25 years so far,
Mhm.
and you know, chances are it's not going to affect you or you, but it affects everybody differently, just like
Mhm.
peanut butter.
Got it.
So,
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I guess it depends on your sensitivity to
exactly,
it. Okay.
exactly. So you know, there's people out there that they, you know, again, you say the M word.
Yeah, and that's
Sure.
really the M
I'm
word.
gonna call it
So-
the
The
M
M word. And yeah, and that's just kind of how I think we've just been designed to really fear it. Maybe hearing about black mold and condemned homes and,
Yeah.
you know, things of that nature. But, you know, are there certain types of mold that we should be more, I guess, concerned about, or no?
There's
No.
over 1 million types
Okay.
of mold.
All right.
There's some that I can't even pronounce that come back on the test. But back to you putting the testing on your
Contract.
Just
Contract,
if
on the
mold
contract.
is found,
Right, if
they
mold's
could,
found-
doesn't mean they'll automatically do it, but
Exactly. So, you know, I mean, bottom line is the average air quality test is about $500.
Mhm.
If you're paying more than that, it's, you know.
You're overpaying.
Yeah, exactly. Call me and I'll give you a list of people that'll
Great.
do it for that or less.
Mhm.
But it's one of those things that has become very popular in the real estate
right.
business.
It's a buzzword.
Right,
Yeah,
exactly. I do. Is it always necessary? I don't think so.
Got it.
Okay, so you know, before you spend the money on that, call me or call someone in my business
Mhm.
that can go out and
Yeah.
take a look and
Yeah.
say, hey guys, save
Yeah.
the $500.
Yeah.
You know, there's no need to do that.
Right.
Or
Mhm.
if the family that's going to buy the house or whatever, they have someone with an immune issue.
Right.
Well, yes,
Yeah.
go
Yeah.
for it. Yeah.
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 So
And that's, you know, just to a little accolade there to Mark, you know, that is really, you know, just to be that forthright and you know, above board about whether or not you need that remediation. You know, I've had that experience with Mark and coming out to my own home, and he's
Sure.
like, you don't need all of this stuff. What you need is vital oxide.
Exactly.
And so
Exactly.
yeah, so Mark took care of it with some vital oxide. But, you know, just making those recommendations when the homeowner can remediate and take care
Yeah.
of things themselves, you know, and being a good resource is really so appreciated in the business.
Well, the number one thing that I go out and I don't wind up getting the business and I have the homeowner do it
Mhm.
is the bathroom.
Okay.
Is the kids' bathroom usually,
Okay.
or in case of my house, my bathroom, because my wife refuses to do it. But everybody's got a fan in the bathroom.
Right.
Mhm.
If you take a shower, turn on the fan. Leave it on for 10 minutes after you take a shower, because you close the door, you got all that moisture in there, and then you get the mold growth or fungal
Yes.
growth above the shower.
Yes.
And I just kill my wife because she will never use the fan. I'm like, honey, please.
And you're like, and I'm a mold guy, honey.
Exactly.
I mean,
So,
come on.
But what we see is, you know, they call us out and they have the black above
Yes.
the fan.
They do.
So I'm like, look, here's what you do. All right. Number one, get yourself some vital oxide. Well, again, that's what we use. I buy it in 5-gallon buckets from a distributor at a great price. I'm sure you guys are on Amazon Prime, which every woman in the world I know is. So, you know, you buy a gallon of Amazon Prime, all right? Wipe it down and it'll
Got
kill it
Yeah.
it'll kill it on impact or on touch, and then get yourself some Zinsser's mold killing primer
Mhm.
and paint over it. You're good to go.
Yeah.
If you can't get the Zinsser, use the Kills, because the supply chain issues that we're seeing,
Yeah.
I haven't
Mhm.
seen the Zinsser's in probably 6 months, so I just use the Kills.
Mhm.
Got it.
And they can do it themselves.
Yeah.
So,
Well, and that's good to know too,
Yeah.
because we do see that frequently. And
Mhm.
again, a lot of times that's alarming.
Yeah, and we
To-
can let our clients know that, it's an issue that they can easily take care of
Right.
themselves.
And you don't
Exactly.
have to cut out the drywall and
No,
the ceiling, and
no.
we can
Mhm.
just take care of
No,
it.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah. We like that you're not an alarmist.
It's
Because
just,
I'm not, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
same.
I worry, and I think
Right.
we have to do our
Sure.
due diligence.
There's
But I also
always
think
a solution and there's always a way to remedy it. And
There is.
sometimes the remedy is easier than,
people want to make it.
yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And then when we really need the big guns and the fans and the expert,
Sure.
you're
No,
there for
exactly.
us too.
Exactly.
Is there anything that we haven't touched on or covered? You've given us a lot of great information, and our listeners too.
Well, let me address the buyer, the seller, and the payment.
Mhm.
Okay. This is mold remediation isn't cheap.
Mhm.
Okay, it's not.
Right.
The average crawl space is probably $4,000, $5,000, $6,000, $7,000. Do you want to go down the crawl space and do the work?
No.
Do you?
No.
Okay. Or
I'm good.
the attic is the same way.
Right.
But the buyer and the seller, they look at it completely differently.
Right.
Because I'm stuck in the middle.
Right.
The buyer doesn't want to pay as much. The seller wants more because
Right.
they think and they don't want to give that money to me to do that. and I get it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is address it in the contract. Write a check to the title company during closing.
Mhm.
All right. That way, the buyer and the seller aren't feeling the pain.
Mhm.
Okay. It's not coming out of their pocket.
Right.
So it can come directly
Yes.
out of proceeds. Is that what you're
Exactly.
suggesting?
So would I have the money to do it right now? Probably not,
Mhm.
because I have
Mhm.
budgets and I've got
Yeah.
certain things.
Right.
Could I come up with the money? Sure, but yeah, that would hurt.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
But that's one way to get past it.
Right.
And you
Mhm.
are right. Check cut to the contractor, and then
Mhm.
the buyer gets the ownership after closing.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
you're right. A buyer and a seller are going to remedy things differently.
Sure.
Yeah.
And granted, I know, they see those numbers on their remediation. This because I'm like, it's not easy work,
Right.
Right.
to get down the crawl
It's a
space.
dirty
every
job,
day.
but somebody's got to
I'm
do
clean
it.
today. I'm clean today.
You're looking good
Yeah.
today.
I'm usually messy.
Did your hair and
Yeah, I
everything?
usually let it hair on.
But it's also good to know that like rough expectation of, hey, the basement's full of mold. Let's plan on 5,000. Let's get Mark out here
Right.
to assess it. But here's what we're looking at.
Exactly. And I don't want to scare people because of those numbers, but if you have a crawl space that's got mold all over the floor joists and in the subflooring and needs a moisture barrier, and you can't move down there because you got to be on your back the whole
Right.
time, that's
Right.
That's a
It's
lot of
hard
work.
work.
It's a lot of work.
It's hard
Yeah,
work.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree.
So-
Yeah.
I agree. Excellent.
So
but it just kind of ease the pain if you do
It's-
it.
it's a good idea because, that's exactly right. The seller doesn't want to pay for it.
No.
The buyer wants it done.
Yeah.
And then this is a way to kind of lessen
Exactly.
that
Exactly.
blow.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
Well, excellent.
So that's
Good advice. Good advice. Lots of great advice today. Tell our listeners how to reach you.
I don't have a website. My wife kills me because I don't.
But you got a phone number.
I got a phone number. 513-300-6555. That's the best way. And I'm set on getting a website this year, but who knows?
Well, that's
I mean,
okay because, like we said, a lot of it is word of mouth. A lot
Oh,
of it is
yeah.
personal
Referrals.
referrals.
Exactly.
And you've got a laundry list of referrals.
Yes.
So we are happy to have you on our program.
Well, thank you so much.
Happy to put you out there to give you our small business shout out,
Yeah.
as we call it. And that goes to Mark Weiler at TML, Time Maintenance Limited.
Uh-huh.
And we thank you for being on our program today.
Thank you.
Yeah.
I had fun.
Thank you, all of you for joining us today. This has been House and Home Chat, Real Estate Real Talk with Dena and Chris.
Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.